Grab you a cup of coffee, or in my case for today, water. Happy New Year. And today we're going to be talking about our favorite places that we traveled to in 2024. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching today. And today's video is going to be a little bit different. I thought instead of sitting down, like sitting still and filming and talking, we could do my massive pile of laundry. This is on my bed. It's up to here. My bed normally sits like about a little above knee level. So this being piled up with laundry, there's a lot here. So I thought for today, what we would do is I'm going to grab my phone. I'm going to go back through on YouTube, look at videos that we filmed in 2024. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about my favorite ones for each month. And at the end, I'll tell you where my absolute favorite place we traveled to in 2024. I also will go ahead and throw this out there. The next video that you are going to see, I'm going to be continuing doing this laundry until I'm done and just be talking and filming while we go. But the next video you're going to see is actually going to be our travel plans for 2025. So let's go ahead and start with talking about travel, and then I will start folding as we go. So the first travel video that we actually have on here for January is driving across the 33 bridge. Our normal goal for January, there's the snow video. So yeah, our normal goal for January is this. Our goal for January is to spend time at home like we are today. And our goal is to get caught up on things around the house, do things around home, and save up money for any big trips that we want to do through the year. So for us, like January, I would probably say that getting to have all that fun we had during the snowstorm, going sledding, we did board games. I also just like sat and colored, which that's another thing I love about January, is that our family tries to focus on things that just help us to relax and help us to reset. So February is our anniversary. No, we didn't get married because of Valentine's Day. There was a long story behind that. Like I said, there's a members only video. Members only videos are usually more personal videos and things that like we just really aren't comfortable talking about in general populace of YouTube. So there are members only videos where we talk about things like our love story, how we met, things like that. So that is one of them, is talking about that. But our anniversary is in February. Then also in February, we have 2 birthdays. And it's really hard to have birthdays like right at the end of what we call the lean months in our house, where Matt's work is, construction houses, they don't sell as many houses in January and February as they do in March. So so it's gotten a lot harder for us to be able to travel in February. It used to be a lot easier, but it's actually become more and more difficult. So last February, Matt and I did end up having a anniversary overnight, I think is how that ended up working out. And then my mother-in-law kept the 4 kids with her, and then we ended up doing like a stay-at-home anniversary. And I think we just like went to Hardee's and ate burgers, and we were totally happy with that. And we just took time to just rest and relax. In February and March, both, we ended up several times at Zoo Knoxville. Zoo Knoxville is a very huge favorite of ours. And it's one of those, like, it kind of grows with your kids, their interest level and their love for going to the zoo. And the zoo changes so much and has changed so much since we first had passes when Madeline was 9 months old, and she's, graduating high school this year, that it's different every time you go. The next trip at all on here was April. And in the month of April, we went back to a place in Knoxville called Baxter Gardens. Now, Baxter Gardens is a privately owned garden that this family built, and they only open it during the month of April in the city of Knoxville for the Dogwood Arts Festival. In May, we celebrated our last day of school by going to Museum of Appalachia. The last time we went to Museum of Appalachia, Rebecca was like 3 months old, maybe 2 months old. Like, she was still in an infant carrier, and I had the other 2 kids in a double stroller walking around. So all of them, it was kind of like they had seen it for the first time whenever we went, because I think the last time all of them were under 4 years old. In June, we did not go anywhere for the entire month of June because in July, we had Matt's mandatory vacation time, which falls on the 4th of July, the week of the 4th of July. And then at the end of July, now during the summer we did go like every other week or once a week we would go swimming at a friend's house who had invited us to go over. But our goal was we saved money because during the month of July and beginning of August, we had a 16-day road trip from Knoxville to eventually ended up in Ontario, Canada, and then came back and did a, that's unstitched, I need to fix that. And then we had a 9-day house sitting in Knoxville, like in a different part of the greater Knoxville area than we live in. And that trip was very much needed. Like, we all needed that time to just get away. It was the first time, I think, that we had stayed in a hotel or anywhere overnight away from home with our adopted daughter. And we've had her for 3 years. The extent of that trip, like, there's a whole playlist that you can look through. Probably my favorite thing about the first day of that trip was getting to go to the Wright Brothers Museum. Now, I'm still a little unhappy about National Park Service changing their policy 2 weeks before we left to no longer allow registered emotional support pets, because that's what my mother-in-law's dog is a registered emotional support pet. Like, we have papers on her. But National Park Service, like a week or two before we left, had updated their website and they no longer allowed them. So then we ended up having to take turns getting to go inside. The second day we were there, honestly, we had plans with that day that I still don't want to talk about because it was like, it was a whole reason why we went up there, and it's privacy of other people. But like, we had plans for that second day that we were there, and we basically just got to relax around a farm with an over 100-year-old farmhouse in Michigan. The kids got to feed chickens, and they got to see a pig, and they got to pet cats and sit beside a fish pond, and they had an absolutely great time just relaxing. The next day we were able to drive to Monroe, Michigan and reconnect with some friends that moved up there to do some mission work, and we were able to go to lunch with them and then go to a museum about a Revolutionary War battle that took place in Monroe, Michigan. Probably my favorite thing though was just getting to go to church with our friends. Like, that really just made our day. And it was so nice to be able to just go and worship with them and be with them during that trip. The next day was insanely busy. So our host family, we were in Lansing, Michigan. We drove from Lansing to the Upper Peninsula. So we went across the Mackinac Bridge, drove up into the Upper Peninsula, went to Tequamanon Falls. Sorry, I'm still having trouble saying that word sometimes. Drove to Whitefish Point, and then we drove another 90 minutes north and crossed the border and went to Ontario, Canada. And we stayed overnight in Ontario, Canada, went swimming, and then came back the next day. So if I was to have to pick my favorite thing from that day, 100% would be Whitefish Point. Tequamanon Falls was absolutely amazing. It's gorgeous. But Whitefish Point was just like this special place in northern Michigan, and it was quiet. It was beautiful. We were right there on Lake Ontario. You got to see so much history at the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum, and to just stand on the banks of Lake Superior looking at Canada and to just be there. It was a very unique experience, and I really just enjoyed getting that portion of the trip. Like, it felt like when we finally got to that point, like we could rest. Like, the rest of the trip had been restful too. It's kind of hard to explain, but like, the rest of the trip had been restful too. But that point probably was my absolute favorite point for possibly the entire Michigan trip, but at least for that day. Like I said, Tequamanon Falls was amazing. It was gorgeous. And then driving into Canada for the first time and finally getting to do something off of our bucket list and, you know, drive or go into an international country or a different country and travel internationally. Like, that was amazing too. And then the hotel, oh, everybody in the hotel in Canada was so super nice. It was so comfortable. The pool was amazing. The hot tub overlooked the international bridge in Sault Ste. Marie, which, for anybody that doesn't know, that Sault Ste. Marie is actually both in Michigan and Canada. To overlook the bridge, to wake up with a room overlooking the Sioux Locks, it was a really amazing day. But if I had to pick from that day, Whitefish Point. The next day, we drove back across the border, which we had not near as much problems as people were trying to tell us we were going to have. There were so many people that had told us ahead of time, you're going to have a really hard time getting back. They're so picky about coming back. We were across the border in 5 minutes. Like, we drove across at 8 in the morning, and we already had all of our passports ready when we went across. And the guy that we had was so super sweet and so super nice. We were in and out in 5 minutes. Like, we had like one extra step that we had to do on the U.S. side than we did the Canada side, that they do for safety. But yeah, that was it. So we drove back across, and then we drove straight to St. Ignace, and we went to Mackinac Island. So my adopted daughter, it was her first time in Michigan at all. I think honestly, probably my favorite thing is there's this spot on the tour, if you take the carriage ride, Mackinac Island, there's this spot at Arch Rock where you get out and you can tour around there for 7 minutes. And honestly, I want to say that was probably my absolute favorite point from that. Now, I absolutely did love the fort. And everybody was talking, we all loved the fort, getting this tour of the fort. And the fort felt less, because like I had no idea that so many people go to Mackinac Island in July. Like, I really didn't. But there was a ton of people there. And the last week of July, it was summer up there. Like, we were not expecting it to be so warm, because like last time we went, it was the first or second week of August. And we were cold when we went up to Mackinac Island. So I was expecting it to feel cooler. No, it was like hot that day. But yeah, so it was hot. It was kind of crowded. The fort did not feel as crowded as the rest of the island did. And we did have some issues with the ferry ride back, but that's another conversation for another day. Then the next day may possibly have been my favorite day for the trip, because we went and drove to Frankenmuth, Michigan. And if you're unfamiliar with that town, it is where Bronner's Christmas store, the world's largest Christmas store, is. And we were able to just take our time going through the store. I think we spent 3 to 4 hours just going through the store. We also purchased hot chocolate while we were in the store, which their hot chocolate is amazing. Oh no, the kids had hot chocolate. Matt and I had coffee. I had a white chocolate cappuccino. I had a white chocolate cappuccino. It was so good. But it was so fun to just take your time strolling through a Christmas store. And again, like I said, it was hot the week we went, and we weren't really expecting it to be that hot. And it was hotter than like all the forecasted weather had said it was supposed to be that week. So, like, getting to go into an air-conditioned store and look at Christmas stuff was really nice. But honestly, it may be my favorite day, because like when we came back, we still got to go and like just be at the farm, and the kids got to feed the chickens. And their favorite thing for the entire trip was, except for the night that we were in Canada, they would go out and collect the chickens or just collect the eggs. And they absolutely loved just like being down on the farm in Michigan. But I want to say that our day in Frankenmuth may have been my favorite. So after we went to the Christmas store, we went to Bavarian Inn, and it is an authentic Bavarian restaurant, and the food there was just so good. We did the family dinner where you get everything, and it was so good. We enjoyed every bit of our meal while we were there. Why is this open, and why is there only one sock? Oh, so yeah, I do use the bags. They are in our affiliates. That's how we keep our socks together. The month of August, we came back, and again, the girls and I spent 9 days house sitting for someone in the greater Knoxville area. Then again, in September, we went house sitting in the same house that we were in August, we went to in October. So yeah, we did a lot of house sitting this year, and a lot of the people did pay us a little bit, but also kind of, we look at it as kind of like a girls retreat thing. We do some light travel schooling whenever we are doing house sitting, but we also just kind of enjoy relaxing. We do like fun movie nights, and we do food based on what movies we're doing for that night. So we really just like getting to enjoy the break. So for us, it kind of feels like, you know, we're on vacation. So we honestly, I just tell people, like, whatever you pay us, that's great, but you're letting us use your house and electricity and your water for your for showers and stuff. So that's just kind of where we are. We've never looked at doing the house swapping thing because, like, we're still kind of working on doing some construction things around the house before we're really comfortable doing something like that. But we do enjoy going and house sitting for people to get to stay in different locations and stuff and just enjoy being together. Okay, so that was August, September, and October. I don't think we did anything else oh yeah, we did. So the first week of school, August, we actually drove to a place that, again, we had been to several years before, but Rebecca was a tiny baby. So like most people didn't remember it. Madeline remembered a little bit of it. We went to a place called Rugby and the Sergeant York homestead in some people call it Pall Mall, some people call it Pall Mall, Tennessee. And it's like right at that border between East and Middle Tennessee. Like parts of Rugby are in the Eastern time zone and parts of it are in Central, and Pall Mall is in the Central time zone. Getting to tour the Victorian Village there was a very cool experience. We really thoroughly enjoyed that. Sergeant York Homestead, I wanted to go in the house, but by the time we got there, the kids were exhausted. It was super hot. It was like the last day of August. The kids were just so hot that they're like, you know what, I'm done. So we skipped the house. And the house part is paid, but the rest of it's not. But we did get to go through like a World War I trench because he was a World War I hero. In November, our church sponsored all 4 of our kids to go to a retreat or a youth conference in Pigeon Forge called Hearts on Fire. The kids would be there during the day, and then we would have them at night. So we were able to... we were going to stay at a hotel that's like walking distance from the Pigeon Forge Convention Center, but they were booked up so fast. And it's kind of hard to find hotel rooms for 6 people. So, especially like the accommodations we wanted, because we really wanted to do bunk beds. Because the crazy schedule the kids had, we wanted them to be able to have time to relax when they weren't at the conference. And that was really hard to do. So we found this place online called Country Cascades, and we had no idea that it was a water park at all. Like, I knew in the summer they had water slides outside, but I didn't know it was an actual water park. So then we get there and we arrive, and it is opening day of their indoor water park. And we were not the only people there from the conference who were staying there. But if I was to ever take the kids back to Pigeon Forge, and I know they're like teens, I would 100%, maybe not necessarily stay in the kids' cabin one that we stayed in this time, which, like I had said before, one of the things about that was our adopted one has never been to Disney and the rest of the kids have. I wanted her to kind of have something similar to that if we don't make it to Disney this year, which that's next week's video. I wanted her to have something similar, and I would consider Country Cascades like almost the Disney equivalent for the Pigeon Forge area. I really would. So that was fun. And then that whole trip, and Matt and I were able to go to the aquarium together and just spend time together. And then in December, we got to, Bleak House paid for us to come and tour Bleak House. And that was super cool because they had the entire house decorated for Christmas. They had Civil War Confederate soldiers who reenacted there and told a story about how all that happened. And it was really cool to be able to go and see it. And then they were going to allow me to just film as much as I wanted. But I said, if it's your normal policy, I don't feel comfortable filming inside the house. And they're like, that's okay. So I filmed the gardens instead because that's, outside open air and like you can see the gardens from the Tennessee River. So we did film the garden, so we didn't film the inside of the house. And that was it for, I think. Yeah, so we had a snow day, and then we had Christmas, and we did do one day where we did go to the mall, and we took the kids to the mall to go shopping after, or like in between Christmas and New Year. But that was pretty much it for our travel days. So that's kind of the, as brief as I could, overview. Maybe my top 5 favorites. So probably number 1, like the number 1, Whitefish Point. Whitefish Point was my favorite place to visit. Like it was every bit of what we needed for that trip. And by the way, I don't know if this is all the time, you will see clips. They did allow us, with her service vest on, allow us to take the emotional support dog inside the museum. And we told them, like, we can show them all the paperwork, and they're like, nope, you don't have to, it's fine. So like we did take her to inside the museum. But that, honestly, that whole day, but especially Whitefish Point, probably my number 1 for that trip. Number 2, if I was to only name new things, number 2 would be the fort. Fort Mackinac, 100% worth the money. I would definitely do it again though, if we go to Fort Mackinac again, I would take the carriage ride, and then I would get off at the fort with the carriage ride. Like 100%, that's how I would do it every single time. Number 3, Pitt Country Cascades. Like that whole stay, Matt and I getting to go to the aquarium, just the 2 of us, like we did on our wedding anniversary, or like we did on our honeymoon almost 20 years ago. Number 4 would be the library at Rugby. And number 5 would be the trenches at Sergeant York. Would be all the new stuff that we did. That would be the order of the ones that I would pick. And like I said, probably number 1 would be Whitefish Point. Did we enjoy our stay in Canada? Yeah, but also we didn't really get to do much. Like we basically just crossed the border, got a hotel, got the best takeout food that we've ever had, ever. Food in Canada is better than the US. But that was the best takeout food we've ever had. We enjoyed the stay there. The pool was amazing. But yeah, honestly, that's how I would probably classify it. So that is it for today's video. And I probably need to drink some water. And you can see how much laundry we've accomplished. Thank you for watching this long video. Like I said, I want to get this video out to you guys so that you could kind of hear our thoughts on all these things, because we're going to be talking about travel in 2025. We're going to basically cover some ideas in the next video, but then as we get closer and closer to my kids' graduation, we're going to have some definite plans for graduation and things like that. So I really wanted to like just kind of overview for you guys. And also, we've had so many new people subscribe even since we came back from Michigan, that I wanted to kind of catch people up on like places that we do travel. And we don't travel full time. We believe in having an anchor point for our family, but we're also okay with like, hey, I need a dog sitter tomorrow, can you do it? And we'll take off for a week and do it. Like we can be flexible like that. But yeah, so that's it for today's video. Thank you to all of our members for supporting this content and letting us continue making videos. There are some members only travel videos that we have put up for you guys. And thank you for every single one of you, even if you cannot pay for a membership right now. Just liking, watching, positive comments, and subscribing really does mean a lot to us. And we will see you guys in the next video.